Hey guys, so I wanted to do a video tonight on sponsorship and I wanted to give people some advice on how to get it. It's a question I get asked so much, once a week I get, an email, a message on one of the platforms saying, how do you get sponsors and how do I go about getting it? And this video is all going to be about that, so please, the subject I could talk about for hours, but I'm going to keep it in short and as sweet as possible. So firstly, what kind of people do companies go for? So what you have to, understand is there's three kinds of people that I feel a company is going to go for sponsorship. The winner of previous races. So if you've won the TCR, if you've won, the Indy Pack, anything like that, a big race, they're going to know your name and they're going to be interested in working with you because you're a winner, because you're good, The next kind of person is people with big social media followings. So that's very important. So like me, I'm not the best at what I do. I know that I love to race, I love to ride, but I do it because of the experience. I love to be competitive, but I love the experience. I love the talking to people about it. I love the adventure. That's where my heart's at. And for me, having a big following really helps because companies, want to deal with me because I can still get their product around, but through a different manner. The last kind of person is people they have relationships with. So people that have worked with a company or come up in a company and slowly built their way forward and built a relationship with people, that's the strongest way of getting sponsorship, full stop. It's all about knowing people. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's key. I'm not being cheesy there, that's really key. So if you're one of those three people, then fantastic. You've got a really good chance of getting some sponsorship. If you haven't, you either need to build a relationship with someone, build a big social media following, or win a race. Basically, it's a bit cutthroat, but that is it. So once you've done one of those things, you need to think about how you're going to get it. Firstly, I'm going to tell you the don'ts, then I'm going to tell you the do's. So don't send thousands of emails out with the same generic, okay? Yeah, full stop, don't do it. So if I ran a website for a while that affiliated a lot of cycling parts, but bye, that doesn't really matter. What was on the website was an email, a contact email, and I'd get so many messages from people saying, I want you to sponsor me, and I'd be like, okay, but then I'd look at the email and realise that, do you know what, that's completely generic. I bet you that's gone to another 100 companies. That doesn't make me feel special. I genuinely don't want to deal with you now because you haven't taken the time. So firstly, don't do that. That's the biggest pitfall. And if you have done it before, you're going to have to, come back and change the way you work with that. Second, don't be arrogant. No one likes to work with anyone that's difficult or arrogant. That's so important. You can't go in thinking you're up here, because you're not. To them, you're down there. You are down there. You are in my Greek yogurt and frozen blueberries. That's how far down you are. The last thing is never to overpromise and underdeliver. Don't go in saying, you know what, I'm going to get 10 world records this year, I'll show you. And this is something that adds a lot of pressure onto your riding as well, so you have to be so careful of that. So always make sure that what you're telling people you're going to do is achievable. Okay, sometimes it's not going to be achievable, but you have to try it. But you have to believe that you can do that, and you have to be realistic. So what do you do? Firstly, you need to tailor your messages. That's key. So for example, when I went to a company recently, and I was riding Reynolds last year. Here's a good example. And I said to the guys, their distributor in the UK, I said, I want to ride Reynolds because I love Reynolds. So when I first started cycling, the first set of wheels I ever saw that I just thought, wow, they're so cool, were Reynolds Assaults, and I loved them. And then eventually I got the chance to try a set and I fell in love with how they rode. And all I could think about was, how I can portray my passion for their product, and it was so important that I got that in an email. So when I did, and I said, I really want to be sponsored by Reynolds because I love the wheel, it's all I've thought about in the last 2 years of cycling, and it is just so important for me you know, to ride your wheels. And it was a very genuine, very, you know, heartfelt, you know, email, and they came back and said, you know, we're so glad you're passionate about the product. So you have to tailor everything to the company, and that is the biggest key, you know. It's just getting on a personal level, and once you know, tailor a message and you're quite humble with that, then people are going to want to work with you. So that brings me to the second one. I just said it then, being humble. You know, you, like I said, don't go in arrogant. You have to be humble. You know, don't make yourself out to be something amazing. Make yourself out to be, you know, someone that genuinely looks up to the company and is passionate about that product. That's the key. So that brings me to kind of one of the last things that you need to do. You need to work with brands that you want to work with. You know, like I work with Linsky Tie, and I love Linsky Tie. I love the fact that they have a factory in the US where there's, I don't know, about 8 guys that put the bikes together, and before they go, the guy that started Linsky checks each one before it leaves. You know, it's a family-run company. I'm so passionate about that. I love what they do. I love their brand, and I don't want to work with any other kind of tie brands like that. They're the people that I genuinely am passionate about, to a point of, you know, I'm happy to go over to the States and see them, because I'm so passionate about what they do. So that's kind of a very vague outline of how I would approach getting, you know, sponsorships and how to word an email. You know, I will probably go into a bit more in depth about this in another video, but another thing I want to talk about is, what can you expect from sponsors? And that's a really big question. So a lot of sponsors, if they don't know who you are, you're just starting out, they'll give you a discount, yeah, which is okay. 20-30% off, all helps, you know, when you're starting. If you're not a winner, haven't got a big following, or don't have a relationship with them, discount's probably all you can expect. And like, you're looking at 10-20%, if that, you know. Might be worth looking in the wiggle clearance section, you know, like, that's it. Free stuff, you know, free stuff is something you can expect. So, like, they'll give you things, and that's probably realistically when you become, like I say, one of these people that they go for. They're going to offer you free stuff. That's going to be their first port of call. And they're going to want you to use that stuff, and they're not going to want you to use anything else but that stuff. So this is what brings me back to working with brands you want to. If you don't like what they do, and you don't like their product, then you're stuck with it for a year. You know, so make sure that you're working with them. Money. If you can get financial sponsors, then wow. You're doing very well. You know, I'm lucky enough that I have a few guys that support me, you know, help me financially, because I say in my videos and, you know, in my posts, my statuses and all that, I couldn't have done it without you, and that is genuinely true. I couldn't have done it without the help of, you know, Linsky. I couldn't have done it without the help of, you know, the Nelson in Burnham Market. I just, you know, my cycling wouldn't have happened without the generosity of these people. So that's what you can expect. Now, this is the part where people really struggle. You know, what can you give back? You know, this is the key. You know, this is where, when you write that email to a first brand and you're saying to them, okay, this is, you know, I want a set of wheels from you. You know, why? That's the first question they say. So why? What are you doing? You know, so you have to say, well, I'm going to race in the Transcontinental. I'm going to show your wheels to everyone. You know, and that's the first thing they're going to say. So you have to preempt this. You have to put it in the email. Don't talk about what you want so much. You need to talk about what you can do for them. So, for example, let's bring it back to wheels in the Transcontinental. So you could say, I want a set of Reynolds because I want to race in the Transcontinental, and I want to do well. So if you could go in and say, I want to win it, but, you know, you've got to this place where you are over-promising something, because unless you're Christoph Allergart, James Hayden or Josh Ibbott, then you're probably gonna, you know, there's a very slim chance that you will win that, let's be fair. So you have to say what you can do for them. So I'm going to advertise your wheels, I'm going to talk about them on social media, I'm going to review them, I'm going to blog about them, I'm going to take them on the most amazing journey possible. And then when I'm done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell every single person I meet how good your wheels are. So you have to go into these companies and tell them about what you're doing for them. It's not about you. This, you know, sponsorship is not about you as an athlete, it's about what you're doing for the company. And that's probably the hardest thing people have to get their head around. I've seen so many emails saying, I want some of your gear because I'm going to do this. Okay, so what are you going to do for the company? And that's key. Racing and stuff like Transcontinental, Silk Road, you know, Mountain Race, IndyPac and stuff like that is all well and good, but, you know, one thing that's really going to help with a sponsor is doing something a little bit different, you know. So I'm racing all the Biking Man stuff, you know, I'm racing every single Biking Man race, so that's kind of my catch there. Plus I'm going to go for another world record this year, you know. So for me, like, companies, I feel as though they're going to want to work with me because I'm doing a lot, but not only am I doing a lot, I'm doing some different stuff. So I'm going off and I'm chasing these world records, which sometimes they're a little bit ridiculous, but, you know, and they are tough, and I fail at them, you know, that's it. But, you know, I'm trying. So in the TCR, you're one of 300 people, okay? So they're going to be like, okay, why shouldn't I give my product to the other 299? You know, what makes you special from them? And, but with you're going for a world record attempt or something like that, you're probably more than likely one of one person or one or two people that are going for that. So it makes you really stand out, and that's key. It's all about standing out. So just to summarise this up, you need to be someone that they want to go for. That's the first thing. A winner, have a big following, or have a relationship with them, full stop. Secondly, don't mess around and be generic. Tailor all your stuff to that company. Really invest some time into writing a fantastic email for them. Don't expect too much to start with, that's the key. And then make yourself stand out. Do something a little bit different, you know. Be creative. You know, that is the key. You need to go and do something that not the other 299 athletes have planned to do, you know. And that's probably, I know it's only a short video, guys, but that's the best advice I can give you on sponsorship and how to get it. So I was thinking about kind of doing some more videos on this. If you've got any questions, please let me know. And talk more in the future, guys. Take care. Stay cool.